Okay, I just recorded a video. I thought it was recording. Turns out it was not. And I pretty much talked for 45 minutes. So we'll see if I can recreate it. So I am talking about failure today. I have been dealt a few unfortunate cards related to career in my life. And it all kind of started back when I was graduating from college. And I don't know about you, but I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do out of college. I always felt that I would know what the right thing was for me by just a feeling. It would just feel like it clicked. About halfway into my college career, I considered going back to art school, and I had all the recommendations, all of the things ready to go for art school. Except I think that it was going to be very expensive compared to the other college that I was considering, which I ultimately went with. And yeah, I don't really remember specifically, again, why I didn't go, but I didn't. And I ended up going to a less expensive college. I graduated from college with a media and communications degree. You may ask, what do you do with a media communications degree? I don't know, but I'll tell you what I did. And it was marketing and copywriting. Those were the two things that I ended up doing. I didn't really want to do the traditional 9 to 5 route. I grew up with an entrepreneurial family, and that also appealed to me. So I thought, freelancing might be a good thing. And at the time, Upwork, Fiverr, those platforms weren't as big as they are now. There was a small pool of people who were using those for freelance and to find clients. That's where I started. People, they wanted to take a chance on me. So that's what I did. And I did that for about a year. And then I had one client, they were my primary investor. Then all of a sudden they dropped me. And I remember it was a Friday night. It was like 5 or 6 p.m. They emailed me and they said, "We're not working with you anymore, so good luck trying." Well, they didn't say good luck, but they said they weren't working with me anymore. And just like that, the client I had the most hours with is gone. I ended up getting a part time job at Starbucks to cover those hours. Thankfully, they were very open to taking me on. And I worked at Starbucks part time and did freelancing part time for another year about. I didn't really like that lifestyle, just having to jump around from Starbucks to go back home to do all the freelancing stuff. I was just super burnt out, and on top of it, I was trying to find a replacement client for the one that I had as my primary client. And I just wasn't getting a lot of bites. So, what happened after about a year was I got a full time marketing job. Just because the pandemic rolled around, I was let go because they were struggling financially because of that, like a lot of businesses. For a lot of reasons, it wasn't a great fit, even though I was going to push through pretty much until the end, until I found something else. I was going to be working there. So that started my unemployment period, and I considered going back to freelance. I plugged away at a few job proposals on there, but nothing really seemed solid. And I wanted to try going back to art again and see if maybe I could create my own business with selling my paintings and my works of art. So I set up some social media pages. I started an Etsy, and I just put some listings up on there. And I was pretty consistent with, working on art, posting a little bit of my progress every day. And it was growing. I had people who were interested and were in in buying some of my art pieces, and were commenting on my post how much they love my art. But I think I was just so impatient, and I wanted to see some proof that I would be able to make this into a living. And it just wasn't going at the pace that I had in my mind. I was really looking for something that right out could pay for my bills and, could promise me a living. But I put my hands in the air and I said, I'm getting frustrated with this. And that was the other thing too, was when you put so much pressure on your passion to take care of you and to pay for all of your expenses, something like that can happen very easily because, you're not creating because you love to do it. You're creating because you want to make a living off of it. So it is no question that, things didn't feel fun anymore for me when I was working on my art. So I think that also is a big reason why I just was like, I'm done with this. And then I really just started asking myself, like, okay, what do I want to do? I had a friend who was in UX design, and before while she was telling me about it, I was kind of confused because I didn't know if it was design, I didn't know if it was research. I was just kind of confused by it. It seemed a little bit complex. But gradually over time, and at one point, she showed me a portfolio she was working on. From that point, I was very interested in learning more about UX design. I started to realize that it was a combination of all the things that I thought it was: design, working with your users, user research, having empathy for your users. And those were all things that I was very on board with. And just a culmination of what is important to me, which is art/design and being empathetic, having empathy, and working with other people. So I looked into it a little bit more, and eventually I registered for a boot camp with Thinkful. And I just remember being the happiest that I had been in a while completing my boot camp. I finally felt like I had found my thing, at least for this time period in my life. And I felt so hopeful for the future and excited about potential. And I had completed the boot camp. I took about a month working at a bakery, at a grocery store, to apply to jobs and stuff. Eventually, someone reached out to me a month later and they wanted to interview with me. And eventually, I got the job. I worked there for about 2 years, and then they had a financial incident where they couldn't pay their employees anymore. So I was let go again, unfortunately, and it came as a surprise. It was really hard and a little demoralizing, but I knew that I would find something else, like I always do. And then I had about a month again where I was looking for jobs. And I got some interviews with a much bigger company. It was a hybrid opportunity, a contract. And I worked there for about almost a year. And then they had a financial situation as well where they were doing layoffs. And, I was a contract employee. They basically said, we can't promise you that you're going to have a full time position at the end of this, just with everything that's going on financially with the company. So I was like, okay, what do I do now, basically? Because this was the third time, fourth time, if you consider the freelance job, where I've been let go within recent years. Not all of my endeavors have been successful, but I have a drive within me, a passion within me to not give up. Because even though the market is tough right now, and trust me, if you are a job seeker, I totally empathize with you. It is a tough market in tech right now. The advice that I think of is it's not personal. You know, you're probably doing everything right, but the one thing that you could do wrong that I totally want to advise you against is to stop doing all of the things that are helping you. And I think, in times like those when things just aren't working out the way that you want to, it's easy to say, well, I'm not going to do that anymore because obviously it's not helping at all. But that isn't anything to do with your method. It's just that's how things are right now. That is the industry. And if you can think of maybe a more creative or a different approach, like I saw on LinkedIn the other day, a girl posted a video of pretty much, you know, this is my my career story, these are my skills, and it was very creatively shot and very creatively done. And it had pretty much, I think it had gone viral. And based off of that, she received many messages of people who wanted to interview with her. Every failure that I've gone through has taught me something at the end of it. And I'm ultimately grateful for that. Whether it has made me go back into art or go back into go into UX design, which I maybe would have never heard of before or pursued before if it weren't for that layoff. I really do think that as long as we are willing to learn from our mistakes and be open to the lesson, that these failures or unfortunate events bring us so much clarity of life. And that is a blessing. And it's to not give up on what you know that you want, what you are willing to work toward. And just because things aren't working out right now, it doesn't mean that, in 5 or 10 years, you'll look back and be like, look where I am now. This is crazy. So just keep pushing, just keep believing in yourself. And I mean, for instance, I thought that I wasn't hearing back from employers for months. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I hear from someone who wants to interview with me. So, don't give up, don't lose hope. And we are, as they say in High School Musical, all in this together. I hope that this video encouraged you and gave you some hope and maybe even comforted you. So thank you so much for watching, and I am wishing you a blessed day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.